The Alexander is another grandfather cocktail because it's been around since the 1910s and was actually originally made using gin. This cocktail first appeared in print in 1916 and the origins are apparently pretty steamy. No, not that kind of steamy. The Delaware, Lackawanna and Western Railroad were very proud of the fact that they used clean coal and advertised this fact with a lady called Phoebe Snow, whose white dress remained pristine when she journeyed on their railroad. When they booked an event at a trendy New York restaurant, the bartender there wanted to create a pure white cocktail in homage and so shook up some gin, crème de cacao and cream. There are a few other claims to this drink, but this seems to be the most well-documented one. What I do find quite funny though is that the creative bartender was called Troy Alexander. It sort of seems like he didn't put too much effort into coming up with a name for his new drink. It really took hold during Prohibition as the creaminess conveniently masked the harsh bathtub gin. Where exactly the brandy came in is a mystery, but it has stuck and arguably become more popular than its gin counterpart. While the classic Alexander is certainly worth a try, this raisiny and rich spirit works so well for an after-dinner indulgence. Since we launched our Patreon a few months ago, we've had a great response, so thanks to everyone who signed up to support us. We'd especially like to thank Kenny, Andrew, Jess, Fabiola, Gregory, Sarah, Jennifer, Chuck, Rocco and Christopher. The classic recipe is equal parts brandy, crème de cacao and cream, but a lot of modern recipes increase the brandy component. I actually like to stick with the equal parts, but I do split the cacao half and half with coffee liqueur, which brings in a bit more of a bitter edge, which cuts through the cream really nicely. Obviously, the cream itself is going to overshadow any very delicate nuances in the brandy, so I wouldn't stress about using something particularly fancy, but you also want something that's bold flavored enough to sort of shine through, so I like something pretty young and fresh and fruity, like the Saint Remy VSOP. But you know, anything from Hennessy, Martell, any of the bigger houses will definitely work as well. According to the story, the original Alexander would have been made with white crème de cacao to preserve the snow whiteness of the cocktail, but dark's often substituted in these days. Most bars wouldn't have more than one anyway. There are some good and really not overly sweet ones on the market, like this Tempest Fugit. It's incredible with lots of really toasty cacao and buttery notes, but most major liqueur brands will have their own. I am using Mr. Black coffee liqueur again. I know I'm a bit of a broken record, but I do really want like an intense coffee flavor in this because there's only going to be a little bit, but you want to feel it. You can, of course, leave this out and just stick to the full 30 ml of crème de cacao if you're not as much of a coffee fiend as I am. One thing that I've never really understood is why every country seems to assert its sovereignty by having different classifications of cream. I've got a bit tangled up with it now a couple of times, so I'm not even going to try and wade in on whether or not this is heavy or whipping or heavy whipping cream or whatever. But suffice to say, use any cream which is as thick as it can be while still being pourable. One of the earlier written recipes for the Alexander is in Stanley Clisby's 1937 book, Famous New Orleans Drinks and How to Drink 'Em, a tome which is also at the center of the Sazerac cocktail history controversy, which I will be attempting to unravel at some point in the near future. So make sure that you subscribed and hit the notification bell for that. And he advocates the use of egg white for a sort of superior froth and smoothness, which certainly makes sense, and he does express it very eloquently. You should look it up. You need much less than you would for a sour though, only around 10 mils or so to sort of help aerate. So I honestly wouldn't waste a whole egg if you're just gonna make one, but do give it a little try if you're making a few at a time, or if you work in a bar and so you have like a little squeezy bottle of egg white anyway, because it does lighten the texture nicely. Either way, just shake really hard. A microplane is really handy for these kinds of grated garnishes, and you could do dark chocolate or even a coffee bean instead. But if you don't have one, then just use some powdered cinnamon or nutmeg. May as well start with the coffee, since that's how I like to start everything. You got 15 mils of coffee liqueur. As I said, definitely not necessary. It's just a little twist of my own that I like to do. And then we've got 15 mils of crème de cacao. It's really good, this one. Then we're gonna go 30 mils of cream. It is quite a good little hack to do the cream before something else, so then you'll get the cream almost rinsed out of your jigger and it should be a little bit less messy. And then 30 mils of brandy. Something pretty young and fresh and fruity to shine through the cream. It really doesn't have to be anything too fancy. Then we're gonna fill your shaker tin with ice. pop your tins together. Make sure you've got a nice straight line. You obviously particularly don't want anything creamy exploding all over you. Then just use your Hawthorne strainer to hold your ice back in the tin and pour through the fine strainer. As with all creamy cocktails, you do want to fine strain this one to try and preserve that smooth texture for as long as possible. And then just going to take a little piece of nutmeg and give it a grate over the top. And there you have it, the Brandy Alexander. So now you know. I am looking forward to getting stuck into this. Just that, obviously that nutmeg nose just kind of always instantly transports me to holiday season. It's actually really surprisingly quite light because you obviously, you're shaking it up, so you've got heaps of air in there too. And I think just because using sort of good quality products for the liqueurs, it's not sort of sticky and sickly, and they do both have a very slight bitterness to it. And then obviously you've just got that really lovely sort of juicy brandy coming through as well. I don't know if I like this one more than the eggnog. I'd have to do a side-by-side comparison, but they're definitely both delicious and indulgent.